Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and I am back with episode one of my new coaching reality series called From a Coach's Perspective. The reason I wanted to start this segment, in addition to my weekly No Filter Q&A that comes out every Monday, is because I wanted to give everyone out there an idea of what coaches, whether it's from myself or from other personal trainers, online coaches, have to deal with on a regular basis as far as getting new business, working with clients online, in-house, dealing with different personalities, helping people lose fat, build muscle, transform their physiques, improve their overall health and well-being, and just overall improve their quality of life. It's not a job that has a high success rate either. If you look at statistically speaking, 4 out of 5 coaches fail within the first 5 years of their business. So it's a very, very competitive industry. And, for myself, for example, for those that don't know, I've never worked for a big box gym. I've always worked for myself. So I had to build my clientele base from ground up with cold calls, the old Craigslist ads, free consultations, free personal training sessions, everything. And it took a long time to do, and I worked in restaurants, I worked at clubs, and I've talked about this in the past, how I built up my clientele base just from being personable with people, listening to people, trying to really get a good idea as to why someone is struggling with their weight or why someone does struggle to get into the gym or, just dealing with different personality traits as a whole. And what I've learned over the past 20 plus years of doing this job is that there's no one size fits all. There's not. What works for one person will not work for the next. Okay. And today, I want to talk more about the online coaching perspective because, a lot of people know me as an in-house personal trainer here in Vancouver, British Columbia. We have a training facility in downtown Vancouver as well as in Burnaby. However, a lot of people don't know, or people that do know, I'm an online coach as well. As of 2026, about 50% of our revenue is now based through online. So as my online business continues to grow, I want more and more people to understand as to what a good online coach looks for when working with someone. And that's very important because I feel that with the way that we're going with online coaches, chat GPT, it's so easy to copy and paste programs and throw out cookie cutter diets and generic training programs. I feel that the online coaching industry is getting fairly diluted very quickly. And I feel like I'm someone who takes my job incredibly seriously. So whether I'm working with someone in-house or online, they get the exact same amount of attention. All right. And what I mean by that is I like to know your business. I'm up in your business all the time if I'm your coach. All right. I want to know why you're skipping workouts. I want to know why you're cheating on your diet. I want to know why you're not getting at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night. I want to know why you're not drinking water and chugging down coffee. I want to know why you're relying on stimulants. I want to know why you're increasing all your sugar intake. These are things I want to know. And the reason I want to know is because I want to help you change your bad habits into good habits. I want to help you improve your quality of life. I'm not going to be the cheerleader in your corner. I'm going to be the person that's going to help troubleshoot from getting you from point A to point B. All right. And so the reason I want to talk about the online coaching today is because I feel like I said, a lot of online coaches out there these days are giving people cookie cutter advice, which in my opinion is very dangerous and very reckless. You have to understand your clients' physical limitations, their injuries, their health issues, all right, their goals and their lifestyle. Right? It doesn't hurt to understand their genetics as well. Are you working with an endomorph, an ectomorph, a mesomorph? So these are all things that I look for when working with a new client. But for today, I want to talk about what I look for when I'm giving my clients a weekly check-in. All right. Now, a weekly check-in is something that every online coach should have for their clients. All right. With some clients, I do bi-weekly check-ins. With my Canadian clients, I do weekly check-ins every Friday. And with my American clients, I do check-ins every Tuesday. All right. And so the check-ins are the same though, whether you're a man, you're a woman, it's a very generic template, right? But your answers allow me to customize the program specifically for you and make revisions if and where needed. All right. So I'm going to go through point by point what I look for in my weekly check-ins. And you might, if you're someone who's worked with a coach before, you might be like, yeah, this all sounds familiar. Or maybe you're like, my coach never asked me for this. Or you're like, you know what, my coach asked me for a few other things. Every coach is different, but Every coach should have a weekly check-in. And if the person you're working with doesn't and is not holding you accountable to fill out that weekly check-in, I I would really doubt the expertise of that coach. And I wouldn't take that coach seriously because a coach's job is to hold you accountable and a coach's job is to help you succeed. So if that coach is not doing that or trying their utmost to hold you accountable and doing everything he or she can to help you succeed, then they're not doing their job. All right. So I'm going to go through my weekly check-ins, what I look for when working with a client. And if you have any questions, you can always DM me on my Instagram, fitcosgrove_, or you can email me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com. I'm always happy to help anyone, even if you're a coach yourself and you're looking to break into this industry, or maybe you're looking to go from in-house to online now, like I've done. I'm always out there to help people because I can learn things too from people. So maybe you've got some tips for me, and I'm always willing to learn too. So it's good to have an open mind. Check your ego at the door. Everyone's here to help and learn from each other. All right. So the first thing I look for when working with a client is how many weeks you've been on the plan. Currently, I have about 90, I think that 93 or 94 clients online, okay, throughout North America. And I've just got some new clients in Japan as well the past year. So I'm working with a lot of clients. So I need to know how many weeks you've been on the plan that I've designed for you, right? So that's the first thing I always ask in the check. And how many weeks are you on the plan? We're on week 2, week 3, week 10, whatever it is. Okay. So that's number one. Okay. Because I like to know, okay, how long has this person been on the plan? Should we switch up the plan? What do I need to change on the plan based on how many weeks they've been on that plan? Or if their plan is coming to an end, say they're on a 12-week program and we're getting to week 11, I need to start thinking, okay, is this person going to book another 12 weeks? Or maybe we're going to go into maintenance mode and I'll start getting a maintenance plan ready. So it's good for me to have that information. All right, so that's number one. The second thing I look for is their starting weight. Now, I know I should know their starting weight. I've got their starting weight recorded when they first started working with me, of course, but I'm not going to go back and check their file every time to see what their starting weight was. So I need them to have their starting weight there at all times. That could easily be a copy and paste on their part, put it in there, done. All right. So that allows me to see, okay, this is where we started. Where are we today? All right. The third thing I look for is their current weight. All right. So that alone will allow me to say, okay, well, let's say you started at 180 and we're 5 weeks on the plan and now you're at 170. All right. You're 10 pounds down. But I also need to know how much weight you lost this week. All right. Again, I work with a lot of clients. So having this information is vital because if you're at 170, but all of a sudden you lost like 6 pounds in 1 week, I'm like, well, that's not good. Something's happened here. Were you really sick? Maybe you had a stomach virus, you had a flu, whatever it may be, but that's too much weight to lose. So it's a good idea for me to have an understanding as to not just how much weight you've lost since day one, but how much weight you lost on this particular week. Okay. So once we have the weights out of the way, I will go into how my clients are feeling. So I ask people in my weekly check-ins your energy levels on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being fantastic. How are those energy levels? Why do I ask this? Well, if that client lost 4 pounds in 1 week, but their energy levels are 2, that's not good. Maybe I'm not giving them enough food. I'm not giving them enough carbohydrates. Maybe I'm not giving them enough healthy fats, right? So it could be something on my end that I need to change. So that's why I ask for energy levels because just because someone, let's say their goal is to lose weight and they're losing weight on a consistent basis, if their energy levels are low, then I need to troubleshoot that. And that could be giving them maybe more food, giving them less cardio, maybe giving them an extra day off from the gym. But that information allows me to say, okay, in my mind, okay, I'm pushing this person too much right now. We need to back off a little bit. Now, if it's something on their part, maybe it's something that's an outside factor that I can't control. It could be stress at work, stress in relationship, whatever it may be. That's something that they have to work on. But as their coach, I can help guide them through that by maybe saying, okay, well, why don't we troubleshoot? And you seem like you're really stressed at work. So why don't you get your workout done before work, before the work day, okay, as opposed to the end of work day. So we work together to try to figure out how can we make this a little less stressful for you. All right. So that's why energy levels are very important because again, if your energy levels are low and you're losing weight on a consistent basis or you're gaining muscle, that's not necessarily a good thing. Okay. So we want to make sure that energy levels are relatively high. I like to see a scale of like 8 to 9 on energy levels at all times. All right. Next thing I look for are the number of resistance training workouts this week. All right. So if I'm working with someone who's on a 5-day training split and I see in their weekly check-in that they only did 2 workouts, and I see that they haven't lost any weight this week, if the goal is to lose weight, I'm going to ask, what happened to those other 3 workouts? They're going to tell me. Most people will tell me in their check-ins why they only got, because they know I'm going to ask anyway, why they only got two of the five workouts in. But that's also vital information for me because, again, then I know, okay, maybe it's not the diet, maybe it's the training because the diet's dialed in, but they're skipping workouts or they're missing their cardio sessions. And that's going to obviously impact the number on the scale and body composition. So that's another vital piece of information that I need from my online clients. Next thing I look for is the number of cardiovascular training sessions. Again, some people I give no cardio to. I say, you know what, just go for daily walks, 30 minutes brisk walking. That's it. I don't need you to do an hour of cardio. Other people I need to give more cardio to. It really depends on the individual. It depends on their goals. Depends on their genetics. As I said, if someone's an endomorph versus a mesomorph or an ectomorph, so the amount of cardio that the person is doing. So not just how many sessions, but the duration of these sessions. Because again, let's say they're getting all their weight training sessions in, the diet's dialed in, they're not getting their cardio, and weight loss has stalled. Well, I don't necessarily want to decrease your calories right now because you're already on a fairly low caloric intake. But why don't we increase your cardio? Because right now I've got you only doing maybe 15 minutes of cardio, 20 minutes of cardio. So we can increase that. So again, this is all information that is vital for me to have. All right. So to know the amount of resistance training workouts that a client got in and the amount of cardiovascular sessions that client got in, that to me is crucial because it allowed me to understand is the diet or is the training as to why we're not getting results, if we're not getting results. All right. Next thing I look for is the strength in the gym. All right. Now, this is a big one. A lot of times, people, when they start to lose weight, their strength goes down with them. The reason for that is because they're losing muscle. They're losing some fat, but they're also losing muscle. There should never be a point in time, unless you're in a severe caloric deficit and you're maybe 2 weeks out from a bodybuilding competition, where your strength starts to go down if you're on a diet. If you're on a diet and your strength starts to go down, you're on the wrong diet. All right. A good coach, again, is going to help troubleshoot this for you and make sure that your energy levels are high and your strength is high. So even if you are going into somewhat of a slight caloric deficit, you're still going to have that strength that you had when you were 10 pounds heavier. All right. That's not going to go away because you're not losing muscle. And as I've talked about in the past, every single person I work with, I always say the goal is to lose fat and preserve and build muscle. The goal is not just to lose weight. I don't work with people who just want to lose weight. If you want to lose weight, go do Jenny Craig or go do Weight Watchers. My goal is to transform your physique and help you with your body composition. Exchange fat for muscle. That is my primary goal when working with someone whose goal is to either lose weight or lose fat, I should say, or build muscle or a combination of the two. Transform their physique. All right. So strength in the gym is very important. Okay, so after that, I will usually ask people too, is if they've had any digestive issues. Now, you could be on the cleanest diet, okay? And all of a sudden you're having chronic diarrhea every day, all day, every day. You're having diarrhea. And you're like, what the hell is going on? You may have developed a food allergy. Maybe you're getting excessive bloating, right? Excessive gas. Whatever that may be, just because so-called superfoods like quinoa are in your diet, they might not be working for you. So again, it's important for your coach to have this information because then they can say, you know what, maybe we should probably substitute out the quinoa and maybe we should put in some rice or some yams or some sweet potatoes, whatever it may be. But we've got to figure out because whatever is causing this digestive issue is not working. And that's why I've talked about in the past how I don't like to have too much variety on my nutritional plans because I can pretty much pinpoint as to what's going on with the foods that I'm giving somebody. Once someone has reached their target weight loss goal or whatever their goal may be, then we can start reintroducing new foods. But for the time being, I try to keep my foods fairly limited. I try to give some variety, but not too much variety. And I talked about this in the past. If you go to my Instagram, I put a video up a few weeks ago about why I don't like to incorporate too much variety into my clients' nutritional plans. All right, because it becomes very difficult to troubleshoot when something goes haywire, like a digestive issue. All right. So unless you have Crohn's, colitis, or a slight version of IBS, it's very important for your coach to be able to make those changes if and when necessary. So digestive issues are a big one. If someone's having a digestive issue, they let me know. We can usually figure out, is it after like meal 3? Is it after meal 5? Is it first thing in the morning? And then from there, we have that information, that data, and we'll start taking out foods and maybe implementing new ones. Okay. Quality of sleep. That's another one. Quality of sleep is crucial. Okay. So if you're on a diet and you're not sleeping, and it's purely because you're in a caloric deficit, or maybe you're not getting enough healthy fats, whatever it may be, again, your coach is to blame. Okay, your coach has to take that information and go, okay, why are you not sleeping? And if someone says to me, well, I'm not sleeping because I'm really stressed out, I'm like, okay, well, again, that's an outside factor that we can work on together, but it's not diet related. And they'll say, no, the diet's great. I feel good and training's going well. And just not sleeping because I'm stressed. What I'll typically do with clients who are having issues with sleep, I'll usually, for example, I'll increase their fats before they go to sleep. So it allows them to relax a little bit more. Their body is fuller. They're going to bed on somewhat of an empty stomach. They don't have too much carbs in their system. And it's just easier for the body to digest fats, in my opinion, than it is for carbohydrates for most people. Okay. Unless, of course, you don't have a gallbladder. But for most people, fats work really well at night. So I'll incorporate fats before they go to sleep, and that usually works. Okay, because some people do have trouble with sleep just in general. But again, if your sleep starts to suffer, then your training starts to suffer, then your weight loss or your muscle gain or a combination of the two start to suffer. So sleep is crucial, and I always recommend people get anywhere between 6 to 8 hours per night. Okay. Next thing I look for on my weekly check-ins is if that person had any digestive issues after their cheat meal, what day they had their cheat meal, and what was their cheat meal. Now, the reason I ask this is because if someone is sending me a weigh-in on Friday morning, okay, say it's a Canadian client sending me the weigh-in on Friday morning, and they had their cheat meal on Thursday night, their number on the scale is going to be significantly higher. Okay. The reason for that is when you have, let's say you're following a very clean diet and then you go and you have McDonald's, your body is so sensitive to that grease, to that sodium, to the simple carbohydrates, all the extra sugar, if you're having a like ice cream, whatever it may be, that your body's going to retain water. Okay. And I've seen people after a cheat meal go up easily 4 or 5 pounds. So if I don't have that information, I'm like, oh, well, I put you on this diet the last week and you didn't lose any weight or you gained weight. Oh, like maybe I should start giving you less calories. Well, no, if I see someone's had a cheat meal the night before, then I know, no, it's the cheat meal that's causing this weight gain. So that's why if someone's sending me their check-in, let's say on Friday morning, or my American clients on Tuesdays, I usually tell them to try to keep their cheat meal far away from their check-in. So preferably have your cheat meal if you're a Canadian client on Friday night. If you're an American client, have it on Tuesday night. So it's far away from your weigh-in. Okay. So then we get an accurate number. Okay. Some people like to have their cheat meals before their weigh-in, but I just remind them, I'm like, don't forget this is going to impact the number you see on the scale. So most people understand that. Another thing that's going to impact the number on the scale for a lot of women is going to be your menstrual cycle, because when you're on your period, you're going to retain fluid, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. But another thing I remind all of my female clients is when you are on your period, you are going to retain that additional fluid. So yes, I need to know that. Okay. And it's actually one of my check-in points for the women I work with to let me know if they are on their period, because I know, okay, the diet's working. And yeah, you haven't lost weight this week if the goal is to lose weight, but that's okay because we know the reason why your weight is either up or your weight is the same. All right. And it's because your body's retaining fluid. Okay. There's other reasons too. It could be stress related, right? Or someone's on a type of medication that's causing water bloat, whatever it may be. So it's always important to understand these things so that you can communicate with your client and your client can let you know, oh, by the way, I'm on my period this week. So that could be why my weight is about the same, but the diet's going great. Perfect. All right. So then I know, okay, I don't need to drop calories. Maybe I just need to increase fats, decrease carbohydrates, rotate protein. We're good to go. Let's keep calories the same. Perfect. Next week, they've lost 2 or 3 pounds. Okay. Um, so I think, is that about it? Yeah, that's pretty much what I look for with my check-ins. Okay. And I do ask people to send me those check-ins on a weekly basis. With some people, I do need it on twice a week. Okay. Especially with people who have a hard time being held accountable for, staying on the diet, staying on the training program. So for those people, I do ask for more check-ins. But with all my clients, whether they're someone who's been with me for 15 plus years or someone who's brand new, I tell them communication lines are always open. So there's no stupid questions. You can email me any time of day. I don't take days off. All right. I know that's not healthy, but I don't take days off. I always respond to every single email that I get within 24 hours. It's usually within 3 to 5 hours max. But I always tell people I will always respond to your email within 24-hour period. Okay. And that, again, this is what someone is paying you as a coach to do. So you shouldn't feel like they're bothering you by sending you this email and asking you a question. Okay. That is your job. That is what you as a coach are signing up to do is help your clients succeed. That means you have to hold them accountable. That means you have to help them troubleshoot. And if you're doing everything you possibly can and that person is still not losing weight or still not building muscle, you can actually say to yourself, you know what? I am a good coach. I am doing everything I possibly can. I know I am. And maybe I'm not the right coach for you. And that's happened in the past to me. Like some people, we just don't gel well together. And it's fine. It's not a big deal. But as long as you yourself know that you're crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's as a coach, then you're doing your job and your clients will succeed. All right. So that's what I look for in my weekly check-ins. And like I said, I'm hoping to add this on as a second segment to my YouTube channel, my coaching reality series, just from a coach's perspective, as to what myself, as someone who's been doing this for 20 plus years, has experienced, like I said, working with different personalities, different ages. I've worked with people. My eldest client was 92 years old, and I've worked with people as young as 15 years old. So just having a good idea of, having to troubleshoot with people because everyone is different. And I do think that we're entering an age now that the online coaching service is becoming so diluted, and I see so many copy and paste programs, very generic cookie cutter diets and training programs. And to me, I'm like, it really gives the name online coach. It's almost like it's a joke. All right. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to go into more detail as to what, in my opinion, makes a good online coach, and someone that people can trust and that someone that they have confidence in to help them get from point A to point B, that's going to hold them accountable and give them everything that they possibly can as far as their years of experience and their expertise to help them either lose fat, build muscle, transform their physique, improve their health, and improve their quality of life. Anyway, I'm hoping to have these episodes come out every Wednesday. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can always DM me on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next week. Bye for now.